So this time we're going to be setting up some internet in the van, and for that we've got an antenna which is going to go on the roof. And as you can probably hear, it's raining quite a lot at the moment, so might have to wait a little bit to get that installed. And then we're going to be hooking that up to a 4G router inside, which should give us some really nice fast internet and Wi-Fi speeds. So we had to shut the doors of the van because, yeah, the rain has really picked up. Obviously, we just need to go onto the roof.
It's typical, isn't it?
Typical, but yeah, so we thought about a number of different options for the internet before we ended up going with these. So this is sort of what we were looking at. And the most basic thing you can do really is just a hotspot on your phone, and that's what we've been doing up to now every time we've gone out in the van for a bit. You can obviously just set up a hotspot, connect to it, and you've got Wi-Fi, but it is a bit of a faff to have to keep setting it up, and it drains your battery and uses your phone as data plan, all that stuff. So sort of going up in complexity really. One level up from that, you could get a MiFi device, which is sort of like taking the hotspot out of your phone and just putting it into a separate device. So they're pretty simple, which is quite nice, and it'll just broadcast the Wi-Fi network, and it has a little SIM card inside, so that's pretty cool, but you can't customize them very much, and they're quite limited in what you can do with them. But what's quite nice is that some of them are battery powered, so you can take them outside the van as well, and if it was a nice sunny day you can just sit in the park and use it. Then you've got the 4G, 5G routers, so a little bit more expensive. Similar thing to a MiFi, just put in a SIM card and just get internet out of it, but a lot more configurable. We'll have all the more of the normal stuff that you'd expect from a router. But what we've decided to do is go one level up from that, so this kind of industrial category, which I've called it, because these are just 4G, 5G routers you can get, but they're more designed to go in slightly harsher, rugged environments, so vehicles travelling down the road, so trucks, ambulances, fire engines, stuff like that, rally cars, and they're quite nice because they can work on a really wide voltage range, so anything from I think 9 to 24 volts or something like that. And then you've got Starlink, which we did look at briefly, but at least at the moment it's ridiculously expensive. So the cheapest one you can get in the UK is £85 a month, and something like £300 upfront cost for the hardware as well. But the benefit of that is that you get really nice coverage. You don't have to worry so much about roaming with going around Europe and stuff like that, as you obviously do if you've got a SIM card. So that's pretty good, but we discounted that based on the cost, but possibly one day in the future. So we decided not to go with that, and we've gone for the 4G 5G router option from Teltonika, and the one we've gone for is this one, the RUTX11, and you can also get external and roof mounted antennas as well. So a lot of these things just have an antenna built in, so your phone's got an antenna built in, and a MiFi usually have an inbuilt antenna. And these ones obviously got the antennas actually on the device, but because we're in a van and it's metal cage, it's not great for getting a signal into it. So what we're going to do is put a antenna on the roof and then wire it down through the roof, and that just means it'll be outside and get the best chance of getting signal. And for us, we wanted something that was going to work really nicely in off-grid rural locations. So if we're parked up by a lake or a mountain or something like that, we can still get a signal. Obviously in some of those places it'd be quite nice to be completely off-grid anyway, but for that we can turn it off. We wanted to be able to pick up a signal if we can. So we were looking at the different networks in the UK, and there are 4 networks, EE, O2, Vodafone and 3, and every other network is essentially just piggybacking off one of these, so there's actually only 4 main networks in the UK. And they broadcast on a whole load of different frequencies, ranging from 800 megahertz to 3,600, 4,000 megahertz in the 5G area of the spectrum, which is the newer fast stuff. And the way it works, the 800 megahertz band is used mostly in the rural off-grid locations because lower frequencies actually travel further, but they're slightly less capacity, so they're not as fast as the 5G signal you might get in a city, but they can reach much more rural locations. So because we're going to be off-grid a lot of the time, we wanted to concentrate on something that was going to be really good at picking up these kind of frequencies. And this is just UK networks, but we figure it's the same kind of setup most likely across Europe where we want to be travelling as well. So we're looking at how to maximise the signal we might get in this kind of area of the spectrum, and different antennas have different gain in different frequencies. And all of these antennas are passive, so they can't actually increase the signal. They're not boosters or anything. What they're doing is just taking the signal and shaping it into different areas as you want. So we were looking at 2 antennas really from Poynting, which are these 2 here, the Puck 5 and the Mimo 3. and they're both really nice bits of kit. This one's a little bit smaller, and the one we ultimately went for is this one, which is a bit bigger. And the way the physics works, a bigger antenna is just better at picking up the frequencies and just is able to do a better job basically. And what's really nice about Poynting as well is they have so much data available for every type of antenna and all of the different radiation patterns, because what you don't want is something that's really good in one direction or one frequency and then rubbish in others. Because we're going to be in the van, we can't point an antenna at something, so we want something that's omnidirectional, so it's just pretty decent across the whole 360-degree radius on top of the roof. So we can see here that the puck in the 800 megahertz band, which is the more rural off-grid one, is a 0 dBi gain, so it doesn't increase the power in that region at all. So it'd be still pretty good because it's on the roof and it's not getting interference from the van and stuff like that, and it's probably better than our phone. But if you compare that to the Mimo 3 over here, it has a lot more frequency ranges, and in the 800 megahertz band, which is the rural one again, it's a 3.5 dBi gain, and 3 is a doubling of power. So that's pretty cool. So that's why we've gone for this one. And this one actually has 5 antennas inside it, because it has 2 LTE, and LTE is just 4G, 5G, 2 LTE antennas, 2 Wi-Fi antennas, and 1 GPS antenna. And the reason for having multiple LTE antennas is because there are different LTE speeds. All that means is the bigger the number is the more recent and the better technology, and it means faster speed. So this one we've gone for, this router, is a Cat 6, and that means it can theoretically support 300 megabit per second download and 50 upload, and it supports carrier aggregation. And what that means is that because it's got 2 antennas, it can actually connect to 2 bands of the network at the same time, which just increases the throughput. You can get obviously faster ones, but they're more expensive, and slow ones which are cheaper. And we went for this one as well because it supports all of the antennas, and it's got 2 for the LTE 4G network, 2 for Wi-Fi, and 1 for GPS as well, even a Bluetooth one which we're not going to be using. And because it's got the GPS antenna as well, we've got the GPS there, we're hoping we can use it for a kind of homebrew GPS tracking solution as well, would be quite good. And another thing that's quite cool actually is it has 2 SIM card slots in the back, so we could for example put in one from Vodafone and one from 3, and then depending where we are, it can pick up the one that's got the better signal and also fail over from one to the other. And it's also got dual Wi-Fi, and what that means is if we're parked up somewhere where there's a free Wi-Fi hotspot, like at a campsite or maybe close enough to get to a McDonald's or Starbucks Wi-Fi, then you can have one of the antennas pick up that Wi-Fi signal and the other one to actually rebroadcast it so it can be used by the van. And you can also fail over from Wi-Fi to the 4G network as well, which is basically a lot of connectivity, which should mean that if there is a signal to be had, then we'll be able to get it, is what we're thinking, which is quite cool.
So the antenna is going to go on the roof just above there somewhere, so then we can feed the wires down inside and then along here, and then our router will just go in this area somewhere. But that's why we haven't finished the wall here yet, because we knew we needed to put all these wires through. So
the tricky part is going to be getting the wires actually through the roof, because as you can see, because it's got the 5 antennas, there are 5 cables.
Fortunately though, there are places on the transit where there's already a little plug which you can just remove a bit of plastic, and there's already a hole which is pre-drilled, so we don't have to drill any holes this time around, which is nice, isn't it?
It's nice.
We've just got to wait for this rain to stop. So annoying.
Still so miserable out there that we're doing some odd jobs. Abby's been finishing off these curtains.
Yeah, very basic curtains for here. This window frame is not magnetic, so I would have done some magnetic window covers, but yeah, can't do that unfortunately. So tiny curtains it is.
Perfect. I like it. Happy with that?
Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? Alright, other side.
Well,
Oh.
I was going to say that it's actually stopped raining now.
Oh, has it? Okay.
So we can actually get out on the roof now.
Alright, let's do it. It was a little bit awkward. Right, so we've got our antenna here, and as you can see, it's got the cables currently coming out of the bottom, and it also comes with the extendable spigot so that it can go through lots of layers in your ceiling, like us. So we could do that, and this is the hole that we would be putting it through, and that's just a cap that we'll be able to take off and go straight through. But it might be that that's a bit too close to the edge. So what you can also do is, instead of having it come out the bottom there, you can run it this way so that we can put it a bit further onto the roof like that. So I'm just going to have a bit of a play around and see what we're going to do.
Yeah, look at this pre-planning. It's the only point where we didn't put extra sealant on because we knew in advance that's when we're going to do it.
So that's pretty much what it's like with it flush mounted, and then obviously you'd have this sticky foam if you're going to do it flat. It also comes with these little screw holes, and I think that's for if you want to do a magnetic mount as well, but we're not going to do that. I think we'll either do this or just straight down, so like that. So
it's not too bad, but the thing is, because of the curve of the van, it's quite angled, isn't it?
And there's a big dip here, so you'd have to build that up with something.
The other option then is flat over here.
Like that, I guess?
Or even right in the middle of the van.
Yep.
Okay.
It's just whether the wires would be long enough still, if you put it there, to go through there and attach to what you want it to.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can get longer wires and extension to the wires, but ideally you want to keep them as short as possible, because every extra bit of wire length means that you increase more noise and the signal getting to the router will be not as good. So having gone to the effort to get a really nice antenna on the roof, want to keep the cables nice and short with the ones that came with it.
I think we've concluded that we can't really put it there because it's just completely blocking these rainwater drain channels.
Okay, well, I think that's my preference, I think, there.
This one here?
Yeah, it's relatively flat.
Yeah.
Relatively simple. So, do we do it now?
I think we'll have to leave it till tomorrow, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Never mind, at least we've made one decision.
It's frustrating because we were waiting all day for it to stop raining, and it did about half an hour before sunset. So, okay, first thing tomorrow, put the antenna on the roof.
Okie dokie.
As long as it doesn't rain again.
Yeah, which probably will knowing us.
It's amazing how easy that comes off, given that it's a watertight seal.
No.
There we go. It's a lot easier than drilling a hole, isn't it?
Yeah, much better.
And we got the right one, which is good. This one is a threaded hole.
Yep.
And this one is just straight through. So
yeah.
Hopefully that's going to be big enough to get all the wires through. It should be, right?
Yep. I'll just clean it up first. Hopefully just get some of these last remnants off.
Literally just started raining as soon as we started drilling the hole.
Right. I don't go any further at the moment. A, because it's raining. B, because I don't know if I've hit the cladding or not. I probably have. Okay.
Okay, I think we're going to have to break it. This is just typical, isn't it?
Yep.
Alright, that's all of them. I think they might have actually gone through a loop of one of the wires for the lights, and they're pulling that down with it. Okay, plan B. Figured there's not enough space to get the wires through at the moment, so we're going to try and cut out this last bit of cladding. It feels so wrong, doesn't it? It's cutting into the really nice ceiling. So we got one side out, or Abby did, but yeah, forgot that it also has the tongue going to the other piece, and we don't want to cut through the other board, so It's going to be a bit tricky to get it out.
So that took way too long, but we've finally managed to get this little piece of cladding out of there, and we can just afterwards just slot that back in there and just glue it back or whatever we want to do. So
If only we'd thought to leave it removable at the time we put it
yeah,
up.
that's a bit dumb of us, but never mind, it's off now.
Every single project always has one tiny bit that takes a huge amount of time that you didn't think about. There we go, that's more like it. Right, yeah, that should work really good now. We can just tuck these out the way and hopefully down behind the cladding here. Cool. It's quite satisfying putting this in. There we go.
Right.
Get that on the roof now.
So we've just used a little bit of black EBT sealant just to go around the edge here, just to keep it a little bit more secure and to just fill in those tiny gaps at either end. So hopefully that will do the trick.
So Abby's come up with a better idea to get the wire through the roof.
Yeah, so we were going to use this box, but then I remember that we had this, which you said that you bought it for this antenna originally, didn't you? But you didn't think the wires would fit.
Well, it's because they don't fit with the little grommet that comes with it.
Yeah, which is this one, but you can actually take that out, and we thought maybe if we could widen that hole a little bit and use one of these from this box and pop that in there and just cut the shape out that we need, then it should hopefully fit that wire in.
Yeah, or just a rubber grommet.
Or something like that, yeah. Could use something like that as well. So that one just sort of sit there, and that's not covering any drain channels or anything then.
Yeah, and then also for the antenna, we've made sure as well to put it away from the drain channels so water can still run off the roof. And as far as we can get it from the metal Unistrut and solar panels, because ideally you want about 50 centimetres between any metal objects, but these are fairly flat, low profile, and that's, I mean, the furthest away we get it, so
Yeah.
I think it should be alright.
I think it'd be
It's
fine.
nice and open on this side anyway, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, that went surprisingly better than I thought it would.
That looks alright.
Yeah. There we go. Actually worked really well. Looks like we bought it like that. So that goes and sits quite nice and flat on the roof now. Get it in. What we're going to do is just use a bit of this self-amalgamating tape and just wrap it around the wire on the bit where it goes through the edge. Stuff is quite nice because it's easy to work with and it sticks to itself. Right, so that should give it a bit of extra protection, which is good. Now, similar to the other side for the solar thingy, we need to build up a little layer of W4 tape on this bit because, yeah, the roof is not flat. Okay, I'm calling it.
Okay.
Just push that down.
Looks good to me.
I think it's fair to say this should be watertight, right?
I hope so. Doesn't look too bad, does it?
Yeah, very tidy. Now we can finally get down off the roof. Been up here way too long. It's getting a little bit nippy. Right, now we just got to decide where we're actually going to route this cable to.
I'm not really sure if there's a good place over here actually, thinking about it, because where would you put it? We don't want to put it here because it's going to have all our switches
I
in.
think you're probably right.
You'd just be hanging in the middle of nowhere really.
We could put it in the cupboard at the top, but we don't really want to do that.
No.
So Abby reckons the best spot is actually down in the garage here, which would work pretty nice actually. We've taped the ends of the connectors together, so hopefully it won't be too bad. Got it?
Gone too far.
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Nice. Yeah, it's actually worked out quite tidy. Nice straight run down all the way.
get it plugged in.
Yeah, a really, really easy bit now. So
how come you get the easy bit?
It's all been fairly easy, this one. That one's nicely at the top, so that one can go in there. And then for the Wi-Fi ones, they're actually a slightly different connector on there, which doesn't screw in straight away, but the antenna came with 2 little adapters. And then the GPS one can just go on there like that. And then it turns out the router actually came with a Bluetooth antenna, so don't know what we use it for, but might as well plug it in anyway, right? So we'll put that one in. Did also come with, if you're not using the like an external antenna like the Poynting, you can also use these ones that it comes with as well. So you've got the 2 mobile 4G antennas and 2 Wi-Fi antennas as well. So could even find that could be useful to have one of these just for in the van. I don't know, useful antennas to have. So that's the Bluetooth one going on.
Oh, that's what BT means. Not actually BT.
No.
I was thinking, why has BT got anything to do with it?
Right, there we go. Just have to secure that on somehow, but yeah, it's a pretty tidy setup.
Nice.
Quite like that. So it comes with a 3-pin plug that you can just plug into a socket, but it's actually a 12-volt lead. So what we're going to do is just cut this off and just wire this straight into our fuse box, which very conveniently is right there. So
for a change.
Yeah, really nice, and it's on the right side. Doesn't have to go the wrong way around or anything.
Nice.
So it's going to cut it there. So yeah, just going to use 3 amp fuse for that one, and that just goes in there like that, and that just clips in there like that.
Okay.
And now for the fun bit, we get to actually test it out. So just like a phone, just put a SIM card in it. So for now we've got a Smarty SIM, we're just going to put 1 SIM in. So yeah, our van will actually have its own phone number, possibly 2 if we put 2 SIMs in.
Can we call it?
We can text it. Don't know if we can call it. Not sure about that.
Try.
Let's see. Right, so while that's activating, let's pop the SIM in.
Okay.
Go in the garage for that. So first thing, it's just got to open the little tray. There we go. Take out that and stick it back in. It's actually quite handy having it here in the garage as well, because if we need to swap the SIM, it's quite easy to do, isn't it?
Yep.
Not having it out the way, because if we're roaming around Europe, what we might do is get a local SIM from whatever country we're in and put that in the second SIM slot. So we'll have one like UK one and one roaming one. Not sure about that yet, or we might just have 2 UK SIMs with enough data for going around Europe. Yeah, lots of options. Right, all we need to do now is turn on the power.
Okay.
There we go, we've got lights.
Aha.
It's not the most exciting switch one, but,
Really?
but it's lit up, so it's got power, which is good.
Okay, cool.
Oh, we are connected to it. It's very cool. And it says we have internet access. I guess we should do a comparison of our phones. One connected to the antenna on the roof and one connected just, as a phone.
Okay.
Right, so I've loaded speed test on my phone, which is connected to the antenna on the roof via the router, and Abby's phone is also on Smarty, but just using her phone, and there's not much signal around here, so she can't even really load the page. And let's see what we get out of this one. Nice. That's pretty good. 7 meg down. Quite happy with that, given that you can't even load the page. And we should take your phone outside so it can actually get a signal and do a test as well. We can see how far away from the van we can get while still being connected to it. What do you reckon?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, so we're about 20 metres away from the van, I'd say. And Abby's phone has just been able to pull up the speed test website. So let's try again. Do both at the same time. Getting a very nice connection still from the van. And yeah, yours is just not really playing ball today, is it? It's not happy. Which is kind of what happens around where we are. It's quite remote, so getting any signal is quite tricky. What we need to do is take the van somewhere that's more built up as well, so that we can test what it's like in the city. There you go, so I'm now getting, changing quite a lot, but probably just eclipsing you a little bit. And then on upload again, like there's no contest. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Obviously, in somewhere like this, it's quite urban. It doesn't matter so much because, I mean, even Abby's phone is getting pretty good signal, and even in the van, it wasn't actually that bad. But it's when we're in all the remote places that we think it's going to make a huge difference. And also, it's just the convenience thing, because we were just literally driving down the road and we still got Wi-Fi. So it's just handy. It's just you come into the van and all our devices connect to it, and we don't have to set up hotspots or anything. So yeah, I think that's working really good, don't you?
Yeah.
Right, it's getting a bit cold now. Let's get back inside. I've got my laptop as well connected to the router, and I'm only just starting to explore what you can do with it really, but yeah, there's a huge amount of features. So this is the status page that just shows you everything that's going on. And then if I go into this panel, the network, you can configure everything to do with the network and the mobile interface, and you can switch between the different SIM cards. And services, you can see huge amount of stuff. Basically, you can do pretty much everything you can think of. You can set up a VPN to a private network, so we'll probably set that up at some point so that we can remotely connect to the van as if we're on the Wi-Fi network in the van, even if we're, on a hike somewhere. And the cool thing about that would mean that we could then connect to, for example, to the afterburner controller, which has Wi-Fi, and anything else in the van has Wi-Fi, and we could configure that and monitor it remotely, even turn on the heater if we're on a hike and we're getting back to the van and it's really cold and we want to be able to have it nice and warm and toasty when we get here and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And then we've got Bluetooth and GPS and all loads of other stuff. And this one's quite cool as well, mobile utilities. You can send text messages, because obviously the van now has its own phone number, so we can set up custom commands and anything like that so that we can text the van and have it do things, turn on and off stuff in the van if we want. Or the one I've set up so far, try this out. So this is a conversation I've got with the van. Mostly it's just telling me that I need to top up the data, but I should be able to now send it messages. So this is one I've set up. So if I say, "Where are you?" and send a text message, then that's now sent, and then let's see if we get a reply. Oh, there we go. So the van has replied with all the data of where it is, and including a map, so we can open that. And you'll see that we are currently sitting in the Sainsbury's car park in Exeter. So yeah, that's really cool. So basically we can text the van and it will just tell us where it is anywhere in the world, which is pretty awesome. Obviously, as long as the van has a mobile signal to be able to actually get the network. But yeah, most places.
Be quite handy if we're out somewhere and we forget where we've parked the van, right?
Yeah. And you can even do like turn-by-turn navigations then back to the van. So yeah, nice. If you're lost in a car park or something. And the signal's quite good as well. So we're in the Sainsbury's car park at the moment, and probably about 50 metres away from the van, we reckon, we were able to pick up the Wi-Fi network. A little bit weak at that point, but you could still actually connect to it and use it. So yeah, loads of features, and we're going to be I'll be spending some time geeking out and exploring everything we can do, but I'm sure there's all manner of stuff I haven't even thought about yet.
Right, so I guess that is pretty much everything done.
That is it.
That, isn't it?
It's all working, I'm really happy with it. Seems to be working really well. So yeah, we're going to do a bit more playing around, but it's fine for now, isn't it?
Yeah. One step closer to being on the road.
One step closer.
See you in the next video.
See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Give us a like and subscribe below if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.